I noticed that you seem to draw influence from earlier albums like Construction Time Again with some metallic Asian sounds and heavy panning of rhythmic sounds. Was this a conscious decision?
I don't think that we ever sit down and plan things out. Maybe Ben Hillier, the producer, had more of a concept in his head when he came into the studio. On the first day that we arrived there, he turned up with a whole array of old analog synthesizers. So I think that really helped shape the sound of the album.
What was the lowest point in DEPECHEmode's career and why? And did you feel like stopping ever?
I don't think that we ever felt like stopping, but at one point I think that we felt that we possibly couldn't carry on. And that was during the recording of Ultra, when Dave was trying to get off drugs and not succeeding very well for a while, and we didn't really know what was going on in his life. It was very complicated because he was telling us he was not doing it, but he was acting very strange and he couldn't sing particularly at the time. So when your singer can't sing, then it gets to a point where you think that maybe we can't carry on.
Strangely, at that point, he was going off and doing solo projects, so obviously he thought he still could sing, right?
No, he only did his first solo project in 2003, I think. Right. Ultra was around 97.
Okay. Do you still like life on the road, and how has it changed with the advent of new and more portable technology?
Yeah, we've been on tour now for, I think, about 6 months, and I can honestly say that I've actually enjoyed every show that we've played. I think we must have played, it's definitely over 60 now. And the stage show itself, I think, is very exciting and interesting. There's a lot of, we've got like 6 screens behind us, and there's a guy called Blue who films live footage every night. And it's different every night, and it's very scratchy, and it's not just like sort of like normal live footage of a band on stage. It's much more artistic than that. Sometimes he'll dangle stuff in front of the cameras so that it just looks odd.
Do you ever catch yourself watching it when you're playing live?
Oh yeah, definitely. but there are still bits of the show that I obviously haven't seen. When you're singing to the audience, it's very difficult to turn around and watch the screens.
Are you fans of plugins or modules, and what works best on the road? Yeah, we're fans of that. We use plugins on the road. We did have a few problems, teething problems at first, but they seem to, they don't seem to be happening. We don't seem to be getting any more problems. It was like the first month of the tour, and it was just like ironing those things out. Who are you all involved in the recording process? How does that work?
Yeah, there's it's like I always say it's like a bit like a blender. The demos, we always have the demos ready before we go into the studio, and then sometimes a song will turn out fairly similar to the demo, and sometimes it will turn out totally different. And that is the process of it, going through the DEPECHEmode machine, which is not just the 3 of us, but the producer. And then there's usually like at least one programmer that we use. On the last record, there was a couple of programmers as well.
Okay. Are you fans of Avalon Outboard? Because I noticed that you had Emily Lazar actually master your album. I don't know if you're fans of Avalon or...
That was just suggested to us, really, but I think she did a really good job.
And how does the writing process, is that similar where there's a whole team of you, or is it like the core 3 members and you just exclude everyone, then throw it out to everyone?
No, we write individually. Over the years I've written nearly all of the songs, and it's only since Dave put out his solo record in 2003 that when he started writing for the first time, that he wanted to contribute to the writing process for DEPECHEmode. So this last album, Playing the Angel, is the first album that he's actually had any songs written by him on.
Is it important to rhyme everything?
To rhyme everything?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I think there are certain melodies that work without rhyme.
Okay.
You know, sometimes it sounds really stupid if a word doesn't rhyme, but sometimes it works if the melody's right.
Okay. Playing the Angel is a very dark album, both lyrically and sonically. Are we all damaged people that manage to hide our insecurities? Is life really so dark in all your minds?
I don't think everybody is a damaged person, but I think there are quite a lot of us out there.
Is it because those people that are damaged are on tour, or?
No, I think that no, I think that generally, you know, there are a lot of screwed up people in the world.
Okay. What's your favourite cover of a DEPECHEmode song?
Well, there's I mean, I think it's an honour that Johnny Cash covered "Personal Jesus," but I don't think that's my absolute favourite. I really like the Smashing Pumpkins version of "Never Let Me Down Again."
I haven't heard that. I will look out for it. What's the most embarrassing lyrical moment looking back?
Most embarrassing lyrical moment?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Probably "People Are People" is one of my least favourite songs.
In Korea, being sincere, is that a cracker for you?
Yes, it's not great, but
had you
you're supposed to be here.
No, I'm not here.
Had you any idea in Essex 20 years ago that you would succeed in making a living and an impact in 2006? And what separates you from, say, people like Human League?
Obviously, we didn't have any idea, and I joke about it, and I say that, you know, if anyone had taken bets in 1981 whether we'd still be around in 2006, I don't think there would have been many takers, you know. But I don't know what the difference is. I don't know, you know, why we've managed to stay around and other people haven't. I think we've always toured, and I think that helps to build up a big fan base.
Okay. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Vodka or bourbon?
Vodka.
Jaffa cakes or digestives?
Neither.
Relationships or on-the-road liaisons?
Relationships.
Okay, politically correct. 96 kilohertz or MP3?
MP3. Really don't bother me.
Okay. Plane or tour bus?
Plane.
Books or DVD?
Books.
And I'm really happy I have you here for this question because I think you're notorious for it in the early 80s. Most embarrassing fashion faux pas?
There was a picture that we had taken, it must have been around 1985, I think, where I'm not wearing a leather skirt. It's more like a full leather dress with a cowboy hat, like a pearl necklace, and like big black lipstick.
Hey, how are you?
I'm very good.
Good.
We are so loving Playing the Angel. You know, I mean,
Cool.
Precious is such a fabulous song. I have to tell you right off the bat, you have never sounded better, my friend. Never better.
Oh, thank you. You know what? That means a lot to me because it's, you know, I'm kind of getting the pats on the back and stuff with that, and it does feel good. Still find it hard to take a compliment, but I'm trying to learn.
Well, I know how you are. You're very modest. But I have to tell you, Dave, really, I was so pleased when I heard your vocal. I just said, wow, unbelievable. Really, better than ever. Very, very strong. So Playing the Angel, the new CD, who came up with the title?
We actually took it from... it's from The Darkest Star, which is the last song on the album, and we had so many titles up on the wall in various studios that we were working in, and the strongest contender, to be honest, other than that, which is a little antidote we put at the end of the back of the sleeve, which is Pain and Suffering in Various Tempos, which we all kind of liked, but thought might be taken in the wrong way. And Playing the Angel, it just we like the idea that, you know, we get to play at this, and angels come in many shapes and forms, and people and things and that are around us, and if we open our eyes and ears. And it's just a line from the last song, and the word angel seemed to sort of come up quite a few times on the record.
That's very spiritual of you. You know, it's funny, Dave, that you should mention pain and suffering in various tempos. I had made a notation here. I had read an interview where Martin had joked when they were talking, I guess they had asked him about the possibility of a lyrical theme running through the album if there was one, and he had said that music for dysfunctional people, pain and suffering in various tempos, and that it might appear on the album somewhere.
Yeah.
I laughed.
Well, it was funny because it came from Daniel Miller came to the studio right in the beginning when we were first sessions in Santa Barbara, and he was listening to them and just sort of joked, "So you guys got a title yet?" You know, and we were, pain and suffering, and he actually said, in various tempos, and it's kind of stuck with us,
It is
the usual theme, pain and suffering.
Exactly. Well, Depeche Mode has never gone along the lines of the typical pop theme type of thing. It's Depeche Mode,
That's right.
Absolutely. I'm sure that your longtime fans will certainly understand that. Now, the songwriting this time around was between you and Martin.
That's right. They've got a little competition going on.
That's funny. Well, good for you. I was curious, when you were writing the songs, were you thinking of Depeche, or were you thinking the songs you were writing would be possibly for another Dave Gahan solo album, or does it really matter?
But you know what? It didn't really matter. I wrote the songs, collaborated with Christian Eigner, who's been the sort of house drummer with us for now quite a few tours, and he sent me some music that he was working on, and I had some ideas, and we got together last year. Beginning of the year, and just started writing together. Also with Andrew Philpott, who's programmed with us for a long time. He did some programming, a bit of writing too, and we didn't really set out for it to be for anything in particular. We were just enjoying that thing of writing together and something coming from nowhere. Ideas coming together, and I love that. I'm starting to really, really enjoy that. And then Daniel Miller came to New York, I guess, last summer, and was interested to see what I've been doing. And when I played him a few songs that we had put together, he was like, "Is this for Depeche?" And I was like, "I'm not writing for anything in particular at all, Dan." And he was like, "Well, it sounds like it could be, and I know Martin started writing, and you guys should talk." So that's what we did, and by the end of the year, we'd got to the point where, we were definitely talking about making a record.
Great. Well, we are so happy that Playing the Angel is out, new Depeche Mode. All three of you, yourself, Martin, and Fletch, have been involved in your own thing, so to speak, solo projects, whatnot. How do you think that affected the band, or has it? I mean, maybe it's brought you back together stronger than ever.
I think that it was good, really good, and it's certainly something I think that we should continue doing. And Fletch really enjoyed doing a lot of DJing and stuff all over Europe, and I think even some in the States. But Martin put out his record as well, and does a little bit of DJing as well, but kind of a lot more selective type stuff. And me doing sort of my own record and going on tour with it and experiencing that and just really kind of enjoying performing. And I've always enjoyed performing, don't get me wrong.
No,
but
I understand.
Like going out and sort of feeling like fresh and new again, and working with people that, having fun doing it, and taking away that sort of self-importance that tends to build up over the years. And I think it kind of did bring us all back together and sort of made us appreciate what we have created together, which is Depeche Mode, and we certainly, when we went into the studio in January, and a lot of credit has to be given to Ben Hillier, who produced the album. He kind of came in with this attitude of like, I don't care what you've done or who you guys think you are or what it is you think you are musically. Let's just get on with it. And if there's any kind of like agendas there, let's just throw them out the window and get on with it. And he didn't allow us to sort of indulge in those kind of like, this is my role, that's your role, this is your role, and we don't step over the line. It was kind of like, let's collaborate on this thing together, and that's what we did. And I think very quickly we realised that we were having a lot of fun doing it, and to be honest, it was all done and finished before we even knew it, and probably one of the fastest records we've worked on in recent years.
Well, you got it down pat now, You're just experts at putting out Depeche Mode records. How did Ben Hillier come to be your producer?
Well, we talked, I guess it was January, maybe. Oh, actually, no, it was the end of last year. We got together with Daniel in London up at Mute Records, and we interviewed a number of producers that were all interested in working with us. And Ben just sort of stuck out because he kind of came in with this, he's kind of like a flood, he's got that kind of flood thing about him, and certainly schooled in that way. He came in with this approach of like, I don't really know the work that you've done, but I like using electronics. I've got a lot of analog gear. I like mixing it up with guitars and drums, and you guys seem to have like 20 songs between you, so let's just get on with it. And, he really kind of sort of sustained that attitude throughout the whole thing, and he certainly is a fun guy to be around, and he came in with studio with these two other guys, Dave McCracken and Rick Morris, are both programmers, and Dave also plays really great piano, and so it was kind of like we had a really strong team and just had a lot of fun doing it. He never wavered. I never saw Ben any time sort of come in the studio and like, what are we going to do today?
Right.
It was let's just get on with it. He had tons of analog gear. We had it all set up in the studio all the time.
Oh, that's
a
great.
lot of old school stuff, and he plays little drums himself. We nicknamed him Benny Bonham. So he played on a lot of stuff, and a lot of time we were working out these songs. Marby on guitar, he'd get on the drums, Dave McCracken would be sort of manipulating some electronics, and I'd be on a vocal mic, and we'd be working out arrangements and tempos and ideas with the songs in that way. So I think a lot of energy was created through doing it that way, rather than slowly building up from the ground up, searching for the sound and all that kind of stuff. It just kind of organically happened, which is one of those things that happen occasionally when you're making music.
Right. Dave Gahan of DEPECHEmode. Now, you had mentioned actually that there's a bit of old school taking place here, and I had actually heard rumor that the overall sound of the album is harkening back to older Depeche, which is actually very exciting.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's definitely a lot of old analog stuff. I mean, sampling came along, quite a few years ago, and I think we kind of really delved into that a lot and used all that kind of stuff a lot. And I think when making Exciter, we kind of took it to the extreme of like, really, it's all of you just kind of sitting around a computer and looking for plugins on the, to fit a particular part and sound, and I think it can take away from the creativity that can happen in the studio when things are just kind of a bit more spontaneous.
Right.
And that's the way that Depeche has always worked as well. It's not, we don't kind of all sit around together and start jamming. That's not what happens. But there was certainly a degree of that on this record that I think really added to something that we were doing a long time ago, just because we've become more experienced and we're able to delve into some of those old kind of ARP and core.
Now you're on tour. You'll be in Our World on December 7th at Madison Square Garden.
And in fact, we just that show has completely sold out, and there is the 8th now, which I think has been on sale for a few days, but that's the one to go for.
That's great. So how do you personally approach each show when you're on tour, Dave?
Well, I just kind of like, it takes me a few songs to get into it. I go out there and sort of, we're going to kind of come out the gates pretty fast, I think, with this one, and it's kind of full on for the first few songs, and so it doesn't give me a chance to stop and think about much, but I kind of like just wait and feel what's happening with the audience, and we've been, as you know, spoilt with our fans for many years, and they certainly know what's up, so they come they kind of dictate more the way the show's going to go than I think what the band do.
Well, you always pay a lot of attention to your fans. I think that really is what makes, a large part of the wonderful you, Dave Gahan. You're just really wonderful with the fans. And actually, you're chatting with DEPECHEmode fans, which are one and the same, today at Tower Records at your CD signing.
Yep, that's right. We're going to go and, supposedly there's going to be quite a lot of people show up.
David Gahan of DEPECHEmode. David,
hey, what's up?
How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good. We talked last time we talked. It was the solo tour when you were doing the actually you started here in Atlanta with the first performance as a solo artist too. How did that go? The whole tour, did it do well?
It was a lot of fun, and we went all over Europe and played all over the States, and it was really a different thing to do, and. But I was, it was never sort of something that I wasn't going to do once I made the record and kind of crossed that first hurdle. Then I just kind of called up some of my old friends from LA, and we got together, and we just had a lot of fun. We all traveled together on a bus, and it was cool. It was like the old days,
Now, is it? This is kind of a tough question, but do you prefer to work solo, or do you still like playing with DEPECHEmode, or is it just two separate entities?
It's I just love performing, and once I get up there, I don't really care for a lot of the other stuff that goes along with it. The sort of the drama of traveling around everywhere every day, and can be a bit tiring, but the actual performance is always something that, is kind of out of this world and something that I really thrive on.
First of all, congratulations on 25 years of music. It's almost pretty much a 25-year anniversary of Depeche Mode. And,
sort of, yeah.
Yeah, and you've been putting out stuff. I mean, when Depeche Mode first started, you were cranking out an album pretty much every year. And then you guys, it was a little bit slower in the 90s, maybe every year or every couple of years. And,
but
the
tours got bigger.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I think a lot of people don't realize that when you slow down, it's because you've got, instead of just like a quick, regional tour, you've got the whole world tour to deal with. And then you got to go back in the studio.
That's what really happened a lot. And, the albums took longer to make, the tours got bigger, and, we were kind of going places we'd never been before. But in those, all of the 80s, really, it was, pretty much album tour.
It's got to take a toll on a band too. I mean, personally and
well, you know what, we were really young when we got started. I mean, it's funny, I've been thinking back about that lately, and when we got together, I was like 17, 18 years old, and when I think about my son who's just turning 18 now, it kind of horrifies me.
Yeah.
But we were just like a gang going out, getting to know each other, teenagers, and it stayed like that for the first 10 years, So in the last few years, we've had to do a bit of growing up. At some point, you got to do that.
But it's got to still be fun, because or you wouldn't be doing it.
No, and of course, it is. I mean, it doesn't get any better than what we're doing now. It's fantastic. I mean, we put our tickets on sale for Europe like a couple of months back, and they pretty much sold out immediately, which is incredible. And all the tickets are just going on sale now in the States, and we're kind of getting the same kind of reaction, which is fantastic. And I don't know what the secret is. We've always tried to put on a good show, and constantly try and push ourselves to, reinvent ourselves in the studio. And I think with this record, we've managed to do that with the help of Ben Hillier, who kind of came in with a really fresh perspective and just kind of pushed us in directions that we hadn't been before.
The parts of the new album, Playing the Angel, that I have heard, it's still very much a Depeche Mode style. But you're right, it is a little bit different in some respects. And the same thing happened when Songs of Faith and Devotion, like the 90s, it was a little bit of a different kind of approach, like a 90s approach to it.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit like, it reminded me of that in some ways, because, it was just the enthusiasm, really, of Ben, and he worked with these other two guys as well, Dave McCracken and Rick Morris, and the enthusiasm they brought into the studio and the fun that they kind of had with actually making the record, and that really rubbed off on us, and we just kind of, we blew away all the old kind of like, stuff that you kind of build up over 25 years of relationships, and we just kind of got on with it. It was great.
Excellent. We're talking with Dave Gahan of Depeche Mode, and November 5th, the arena at Gwinnett Center, 99X is presenting you guys in concert, and there's a few tickets left from what I understand, but I mean, bam, when we heard about the show, it went crazy, and the town is just really drooling to have you come back and do the Depeche Mode again. And now, who's in the band now with you? Is Martin back with you in the band, I take it?
Yeah, it's me, Martin Fletch, and then Christian Eigner, who I wrote a couple of songs with on the album, and Peter Gordino playing keyboards, Christian Eigner's playing drums, and they've been playing with us now for a few tours, so we're just rehearsing, and we're getting it together, working out some of the new songs, and pulling out some of real old favourites as well, and that's kind of fun going back there.
How do you put together a set list? Are you working at all with like maybe a website and getting some fans to kind of put input there?
We have done that in the past, and to be honest, we are kind of spoiled. We have like such a sort of vast, library of songs, if for want of a better word, to choose from. But this time, what we did was Fletch, myself, and Mark kind of made our own lists of songs that we would like to do, and it turned out that at least like 90% of those were the same, so that saved a lot of grief. And we've been rehearsing about 25 songs, and we'll get it down to sort of 20 or something like that, and then have a few that we kind of mix around, depending if we're doing a couple of nights in some places.
Excellent. Now, the new album, How did it work between you and Martin? Because Martin has always been the songwriter, and throughout most of the history, and then all of a sudden now you've got the solo project that you did, and you were writing everything. So now, are you bringing more stuff to the table in the way of writing?
Yeah, I mean, I just when we first got together, like end of last year, and started talking about it. I mean, I sat down with Mark, and he obviously acknowledged the success I'd had with Paper Monsters, and he understood that, it was something I wanted to continue doing, which was writing, and it was more a matter of, like, really kind of sorting out how many songs I was going to have to be this first kind of Depeche record that we've done together, where there would be Dave Gahan songs on there.
Yeah.
And that was pretty easy, to be honest. And once we got in the studio, as usual, we all kind of muck in on it, and it turns into a Depeche thing anyway.
Excellent. No, because the last DEPECHEmode album was Exciter, wasn't it? Was it the last one?
Yes, right.
Yeah, 2001.
That's right.
But there was also we mentioned the remix album that was put out about a year ago. And how did that come about? Because when you get people to tool around with some classic songs you had, and you've always remixed songs anyway. There's always been several versions of certain DEPECHEmode songs. But how did that version of "Enjoy the Silence" that I just got through playing? How did that come about? Did they approach you, or how did that work?
Well, what happened was when we first started talking about doing the remix album, we obviously wanted to find some remixes that had kind of had been a bit more obscure and were kind of buried a bit at the time when they came out. And then a few people came up with the idea to do some sort of reworkings of old songs, and Goldfrapp did a great version of Halo, and Mike Shinoda sort of approached us and wanted to do something, and so we gave him the toughest job of all, to be honest, which was to do something with Enjoy the Silence. And it's kind of like, it's one of those songs really that, at first we were skeptical, we were like, well, it is what it is, and we wanted to leave it alone, but he really kind of reworked it in a good way, and we went with it.
Now, how did you first hear that? Well, when he finished it, I can just imagine Mike, coming to you and saying, okay, here it is.
Well, he's a big fan, and, we called him up and told him that we were really pleased with it. So, I think he kind of was taking a deep breath at the time and hoped, obviously, that we would like it. But he did a great job.
Yeah, it's huge. And it's hard to do it when the song by itself is just such a timeless song.
Yeah, he just kind of beefed it up a bit, and he put some of that sort of Linkin Park sort of flavor on it as well, which was fun.
Yeah. Like I mentioned, with 25 years of music that you guys have been putting together now, you have, I think, that seniority now where you can, you do a world tour, you can do an album, and then you have time off. And you mentioned a little family. And what are you doing in your time off? What are you doing for? Because a lot of us have no idea what you do, but aside from music.
Well, normal stuff. Go to the movies, hang out with friends, spend time with my kids, watch The Simpsons.
Have you been on Simpsons yet? I mean, as a character?
No, we haven't been on there. I'd actually prefer to be on The Family Guy, to be honest. I love that show.
Have you been approached?
No. You never know, though.
I have friends over at Cartoon Network. I can make that happen.
I would love that.
Would you tell us something about your new single, please?
Well, it's a really old single. We've actually had like one out since then, but Precious came out, I don't know, when was it? Like September or something? October?
Yeah, something like that. That's
October. So.
And you go for performing it on Wetten Das. So I heard you wrote a song for your kids, that's true?
Yes. I went through a divorce that lasted like a year and a half, and I'm sure it still affects the children. So it was a song about that.
It's on your new album, Playing the Angel, and you're touring at the moment with this album, and it's a huge success, completely sold out. How does it feel for you guys? It's all the people going crazy, and they're searching for tickets for DEPECHEmode. How does it feel?
Yeah, the shows have been great, and we're really enjoying it, performing together, and it really doesn't get better than what we're doing now, really, on the road. So we're very, very lucky, and we're planning to come back again now. We've announced some more shows in the summer, so.
I'm sure the fans will be happy about that. Your album from 1987, Music for the Masses, it still seems to be up to date. Is it still an important thing if you're writing new songs, music for the masses?
I think Music for the Masses was a big album for us. I think Black Celebration before that was a really big turning point. You know, and I think I like pretty much everything that we've released since then. Yeah, we released a few dodgy tracks, pre Black Celebration, but
now this one is your 11th album. I heard you always have to go to do the best record ever. Did you succeed your goal this time?
I think so, yeah. We did. You know, we were lucky to work with some people that were really enthusiastic. Ben Hillier produced the album, and we just had a lot of fun making it. You know, we made the album in some of it in Santa Barbara, some in New York, some in London,
London.
Yeah, London, and Santa Barbara, some in New York. And it was we did it about 3:30. It was a lot of fun. You know, I think when we began, we didn't know how we were going to be together and what it was going to be like. But once the first sort of few weeks, we really got into it. And
the album sounds a little bit faster than the former two albums. Any special reason for that? Were you influenced by more dance music, or?
Yeah. We've been listening to a lot of disco.
Disco music.
And it's mixed with some Barry White and stuff like that, so it's got a soulful dance feel about it.
I saw on your CD there's a DVD playing The Angel, and you said, okay, you're always a little bit scared before writing new songs. Why, after all these years, 25 years of DEPECHEmode, why are you still scared about that? Is it
because you have a legacy, and you know, like we were saying, we want to make the best album, and you know, you sit down with a piece of paper that's blank, you don't know what you're going to write, and you know, it's really nice when you get a few songs under your belt and you start getting a direction.
I heard you were writing 3 songs for the album as well. It's for the first time, so how was it for you? You've got a different view now on this album because you were working as a songwriter as well?
Yeah, you know, I wrote the songs with Christian, who plays drums with us as well, and Andrew Philpop, who's not around with us right now. But yeah, I think it just sort of seemed like a very natural thing, and I think that was one of the things in the studio that we weren't going to know how it was going to be until we actually got in and started working together. And once we get in the studio, it all becomes like a DEPECHEmode thing. And like I said, when I go back to Ben Hillier and Rick Morris and Dave McCracken, who worked on the album, they kind of brought an energy to the music that I think, you know, was important.
What's really impressive for me is the way you are working on a new album. You are in the business since so long, but you're still warming up your voice, right? With a song, Mary Had a Little Lamb. I saw on the DVD. How do you, which exercises you prefer?
I actually was doing it earlier. We're not doing a gig tonight, but I kind of like it's just part of like what I do. I enjoy doing it. It makes me.
It's one of his favourite songs.
It's like
Mary Had a Little Lamb, one of his favourite songs.
Still is. I do it in French as well.
In French as well. And how does it sound in French? I don't know. The lyric is Mary a une little.
Mary had a little lamb.
Mary had a little lamb. That's the French version of Mary Had a Little Lamb. Okay. So it's a pretty long time. We were waiting for a long time for a new record now. In 2001 came up the last one. In the meantime, you all did several solo projects, and now happy to be back again. But I can imagine you all live in different parts of the earth. New York, London, California. How was it the first days to be back very close together again? Was it strange or difficult at the moment?
I mean, we spent most of the last 25 years together, so it's not that strange.
Okay. So it worked really well, and now you're on...
Marriage.
Oh, a marriage. Nice. Die kleine Ehe, DEPECHEmode. You know what? 25 years of DEPECHEmode, you sold over than 50 million albums.
Slightly more now.
Yeah, slightly more. So about 100 million albums, something like that. So every second, yeah. So sometimes if you're looking back, can you believe all that? I mean, if I hear 50 million records or 100 million, I don't know. So it's a huge...
Yeah, it's great. And, you know, it's something that has happened over 25 years. And I think we're just fortunate that we still feel that what we do is relevant, and obviously to our fans it is, and we seem to be winning over new fans all the time. And you know, as long as we're enjoying making the music together.
Yeah, I think when we recorded Dreaming of Me, I don't think we expected to be around 25 years later
Probably
and
not.
selling so many records.
We didn't give up our day jobs. Well, I didn't have a job, but Fletcher and Mark had jobs, and I don't think they gave up their jobs for the first couple of years. So we're still just as pessimistic,
We keep going because we don't want to go back to
Yeah, we haven't got another job.
In fact, we're useless at everything else, so this is all we can do.
So that if there is no other job, that's a good solution for the moment, I would say.
We're doing something different, even from ourselves. I really wouldn't want to become a parody of ourselves, just to be churning out the same kind of music year after year is not interesting to me at all. What's interesting to me is working with different people, and I think a big influence on that sound that's different is Mark Bell, who produced the album, and he was very instrumental in the sound of Exciter. Since Alan left the band, who was very, very musical, Martin writes great songs, and I try and use my voice to the best of my ability to set an atmosphere with those songs. And then we need somebody who can musically direct us and take the songs to a different place. So Mark Bell has become that person with Exciter, and if we work with him again, then who knows what we'll do. But there's kind of a hole there now that Alan's not there. I think when Alan was with us, we were going in a different direction, and we'd also reached a point where we couldn't go much further. Really, it was hard for us to. We'd all become too much in our own little areas, and I think there's a danger of that when you're in a band for so long, that you start to have roles, and you stick to that role, and you don't kind of cross over that boundary with somebody else, and that, creatively, that's quite stifling. I think, you should be able to. It's important if you're being creative in any way to just express yourself and be heard, and it's hard sometimes when you're in a band doing that. You kind of, it's something that we've created for ourselves. You kind of like stop going in certain areas, but I think with Exciter, Martin and I collaborated a little more. I definitely worked very hard with my voice, and realised that for me anyway, I had to push myself a lot harder creatively than I ever have before. Otherwise, there's no point to me. There's no point in, I believe, in making another DEPECHEmode record unless we're trying something new and working with new people. Do I like the new songs? Yeah. I like Barrel of a Gun. I like to sing that. It feels good to sing it. And Only When I Lose Myself. Yeah, it's songs that usually take a while to grow on me. Mm-hmm. I have to live with them for a while. It's great to make music, that's the most important thing, and the outcome is not that up to us, how it's perceived, and I just enjoy being part of the process of making music, being my voice creating an emotion on a mood of a song, and my voice dictating the mood, and it's fun, to do that. I don't really listen to DEPECHEmode because once we've finished what we're doing, it's finished, it's done. I don't really like much new music. I don't even search for it so much anymore. I get mostly moved by R&B and blues records and stuff like Buddy Guy and Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters, Robert Johnson. I like to listen to Billie Holiday, Al Green, Marvin Gaye, like soul music that touches my soul, that moves me. A voice moves me, or a feeling, or the sound of just like Howlin' Wolf singing through his harmonica. It's that moves me. I find a lot of music, modern music, very cold. It doesn't move me.
Just can't get enough. It's like being in the back seat of a movie, watching a comedy film with these two here. You're obviously enjoying seeing the old days again, 1981 when that was released. And that's never been seen in Britain.
No.
Why was that then? What was the score?
Well, we released the record in Britain, and then videos were just starting to be made in those days, and it was a hit in Britain, and then we decided to make a video just for Europe, to be shown in Europe.
How much in those days, do you reckon?
Well, we were sort of forced into doing it as well. We wasn't too sure about it, and everyone was saying, you've got to do it, you've got to do it. And it was, I think it was about £7,000.
Yeah.
And we thought that was outrageous, you know, to spend on this little film, you know, that goes through your single, you know. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of money. You wouldn't even talk to a director now for that, you know.
That's true. I mean, what is the cost now for doing a video?
Well, I mean, the last one that we done was, I think it was, what,
25,000,
30,000.
And that is still reasonably charged in comparison.
I mean, we've tried to keep it as low, but quite low, because you can do interesting things. It's not always the money that's involved. You can splash out £100,000.
I mean, some people on the label on Mute, they've got a couple of artists like Nick Cave and that, and they just made videos for about £1,000, and they're still really good.
Which are good, you know. They're just as good. It's just that, you know, because it's a lower budget doesn't mean that it's not, you know, the video isn't so good as a £100,000 video. You just have to stretch the imagination a bit more.
Shock horror. We saw you all wearing black leather in those days, and then you got out of that. But it was very definite image the band had, wasn't it, in those days?
I mean, I think it was a shame that we stopped wearing it all, because we started wearing all the leather gear again now, you know, so, I don't know why we drifted out of it, because at that time we was hanging about with a lot of people from Southend who were all into the leather sort of look, you know.
Southeast part of England, I should
Right. And, it was just a crowd that we used to go out with, and they were all into sort of the bondage look, you know, it was sort of, just after punk had finished, and we just sort of wore the same clothes.
So is this you two at home then? Is this your sort of comfy, easy clothes?
Yeah, it's our casual gear now.
It's our studio gear.
Leave in silence. Hysterical laughter. That was the first video you did on video, such. It looked very good. Very clever. I liked all the superimposing. It was quite ahead of its time in many ways.
Yeah, there was a lot of clever ideas going on in there. I don't think we sort of really achieved to its full, really, what we was trying to do there. I mean, at that time we was the director we was working with sort of was experimenting a lot as well, I think. And we was his guinea pig. We used to let him get on with it, you know, basically.
Guinea pigs
rather than get too involved.
Yeah.
That was 1982 though, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the first video we done with Al, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So how was the sort of mood and temper of the band in 82 then?
Well, it was good. It's always been good, but we were just in a bit of a down period then. We felt Leaving Silence especially was perhaps one of our best singles, and I remember Radio 1 sort of like daytime especially, sort of like they thought it was a bit of a gloomy record, and it didn't get much play. Pete played it. But you know, I think as a band we feel that is one of our best
I mean,
singles.
I think it's a really atmospheric song, you know, it's really good, and because it lacked a bit in the old airplay, so it didn't do as well. I think it could have done really well, you know, if everyone had been behind it a bit more. But I think it done us a lot of good as well, you know. That was a stage we was going through where it was a funny period, you know, with the critics and everything, and I think that record sort of shocked a lot of people in a way. They was expecting another sort of, you know, up-tempo, poppy number, and suddenly we hit them with this sort of real doomy number, you know. So I think it done us a lot of good, though, you know, in the long run.
So a new addition to the family, though, at this stage, wasn't there?
Slick.
Wilder.
Wilder.
He got that name, actually, when because he used to slick all his hair back, you know, when we was on tour. And
he was always a bit more sophisticated than us.
Yeah.
Difficult now to think of him as not being part of the...
No.
He has fitted in very well.
Unbelievably well, I would say.
I mean, for a year we didn't pay him anything, He always grumbles about that.
He was just, he does now, yeah.
And Martin coping with the majority of the songwriting as well. Unfortunately, he's not here with us.
But that was one of the most difficult times, I think, for Mark, because it was the first time he had to sit down and actually write like 10 songs all in one go, you know, for an album. And he'd always just written a few songs now and again.
You're such a close band. I wouldn't think you'd give him much time to actually go away and do it. Did you?
Well, we always give him at least a couple of months a year. We try to write. So it's the most important thing. If you keep your songs good, then you always sell records.
That's what it's about, isn't it? Yeah.
And when you start songs slip, that's when your sales slip as well.
Yeah. Was this the beginning of your love affair with Germany, for instance, where you?
Yeah. This was our first big hit in Germany, and also we mixed the album. Construction Time going there, and we had a really good time mixing that.
It was the first time we sort of ventured out of the studio that we'd been in for like 2 years, and we went and recorded somewhere else with a new engineer, you know, working with new people, and it was just, the whole thing was really fresh and exciting for us, you know. Martin was going through a real sort of change period all round, you know, sort of personally and everything, you know. He changed quite a lot through that period, probably the most he ever has, you know.
He's quite a changeable guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Hey, when a new British band then goes to foreign territories, whether it be Europe or America, Australia, I mean, is it very different from Britain for a band's point of view? I mean, are the press different? Is the television different? Is the radio different? Is it?
I think it's more different for us because when you, like in Britain, for instance, we always tend to do a lot more work because it's a lot of pride at stake, really. I think in Europe, when we go abroad and we do concerts, and it's much freer. You know, you can really let yourself go.
You feel relaxed. You let your hair.
Like in Britain, for example, if you do a concert, you always think, you know, oh, we've got a few friends watching and things like that.
Yeah.
But when you're in Europe and in America, you know, you just really relax and you can sort of like, you feel like you can really let yourself go.
The TVs are a bit different as well. A lot of them you just sort of like this, you just do it, you know, you go in and you do it. You don't hang around like for 10 hours all day long, you know, waiting to do a little bit of TV, you know, which a lot of the TVs all across Europe are like, you know, this sort of thing.
What kind of questions do the foreign press ask you?
Well, it depends in what country. I mean, France, for instance.
Are they more interested in your personal lives than they are about your music?
Well, France, we've done this press conference in France, and basically they can only muster about 2 questions out of about 20 of them.
Yeah. And they were there was like all general, these people, you know, like sort of
real trivial questions, and then you've got like in Germany, which tends you've got 2 different types of things. You've got the Bravos, which are they're a bit like the you know.
Yes, the team pop cover.
Yeah, the team pop. They go for anything, you know. Got real heavy things as well.
Yeah. So I mean, they're perhaps not generally as interested in the music as they are about the character, the makeup, and the.
Oh no. I mean, Britain is probably the most sort of fickle place there is, you know, for actually that side of things. For the actual, you know, if a band looks good, they can become successful.
Right.
Whether their music's good or bad.
Right.
In Europe and America, they tend to sort of analyse the music a lot more.
Oh, they do?
You know, I think so, yeah, I think they, you know, because the way we sort of built our success in Europe has just been through playing live and stuff. It's, you know, it's not been by doing, by doing loads of TVs and stuff, because we haven't really done that. We've just always played live there. We always sort of treated it as just part of the world. We haven't sort of done a huge tour in Britain and then done a couple of gigs over in Europe. We've treated every place as like, you know, treated it the same, you know, which I think is.
Do you think that counts for your success over there?
I think so. Yeah, I think the fans have been loyal to us, and we've tried to be loyal to them. You know, going back all the time and doing tours and things.
All my 2 guests are to the band Dave Garn and Andrew Fletcher, better known as Fletch. Everyone's got nicknames.
And a few other names as well.
And a few others.
I won't repeat those.
Yeah, what's your nickname? I wonder on the band.
I've actually got a nickname, haven't I? Garney, I suppose.
On the new album, actually, it's almost too early to talk about it, so we'll wait till a bit towards the end, because this whole programme is all part of the story so far, DEPECHEmode, which actually is an album now, in singles form. It's in 81 to 85. But obviously we'll be doing a new album in the new year. We talked about songs and Martin songwriting. Will this extend more, do you think? The rest of the band getting more involved?
It's definitely, I mean, we definitely want to get, as a band, we want to get more involved in the whole production and everything of the thing, you know. We've always been involved in the production, and it's always been a co-production between us and Daniel Miller. But we want to sort of get more involved, you know, and have more say on what's going on, which I think is a good thing, you know, because the more you get involved, I think in the end, the better it will be, you know, for the band. It's definitely a broader, the topics which Martin's written about a lot broader than what they have been, I think, on any album, really.
It's very
you've grown up an awful lot, haven't you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Martin has as a songwriter, definitely.
I mean, it's a very good position for us to be. I mean, not many bands can go into a studio with like 10. He's got 11 songs, which are really like top quality.
At the moment.
And it's such a good position to go into the studio and just work on the songs. A lot of bands have to write songs in the studio. and have to work on the songs in the studio. It's just a real good position to be in.
We've actually got them up front, which is a great thing. That's what we're doing now. We're just in a small studio at the moment, just programming and working on arrangements and stuff. To sort of, Martin comes up with very rough demos. He'll have a song that's very, very rough, which has got all the tune, basic melody and everything, and all the lyrics. And then we sort of look at those songs and look at them and see if we can change arrangement and stuff and make it more interesting maybe, or whatever. And that's how we work on it as a band in the end. But Martin's always the one who actually sort of comes up with the ideas first.
Just to give you an indication as to how popular DEPECHEmode are in Britain, when that record was released, they had some T-shirts done, one which had Master across, and then there's another T-shirt which had Servant across. And I just mentioned on my radio show that I got one of these Master things, and I had about, I think, probably 3,000 or 4,000 people writing in asking for that T-shirt. And then when I said, I haven't got enough to give away, but I've got a Servant T-shirt, another 5,000 or 6,000 people writing Servant, Master and Servant. Good track, that. It's slightly more rocky, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think it's probably, I was just saying, I think it's probably our wildest single to date. I think if you, I know it sounds a bit weird saying wildest, but I think it is. I think it's quite on the edge, you know. It's a very sort of, it's a very tense sounding single. It's almost not a pop single at all, you know.
Instrumentally, then, where does the band go? In other words, the actual sound of the band.
Well, in the studio, like Dave said earlier, we Martin presents us with very rough demos, and sometimes they are very rough. Yeah. And like we then do preparation work. Like that's what we're doing at the moment, a month of preparation, which we go over the song in a very small, dingy old studio, and work out structures and the best way to do the song. And then we'll go into a studio and we work quite a lot on sound.
But definitely,
I mean, when we first started, we had real definite roles as a band. Like for instance, I would be the bass. I'd play bass mainly, and Vince would play a lot of rhythm, and Martin was sort of lead synth.
Yeah, but now this is what I was getting at. Well, like all synth.
Yeah, well, yeah, we do use a lot of synthesizers, but generally these days we use a lot of computers. I mean, there is a difference between synthesizers and computers.
Yeah. I mean, it's the fact that with a computer you can actually use real sound. You can actually, when I say real sound, I mean like you can sounds. You can take anything. You can take anything. It's very acoustic sounding, so that's why the last couple of albums haven't really sort of sound synthesized. The first album was a synthesizer album. It was totally synth pop. It was totally electronic. Whereas in fact, although we're still sort of we're still called an electronic band. In fact, we're not really an electronic band in the way that we don't really use those sort of synthesizers anymore.
But the $1,000,000 question: are you likely to pick up a guitar, for instance?
Well,
we do. I mean,
but for us, that's a cop out.
Yeah, to actually use.
So many of the early synthesizer bands, they just went back to the conventional lineup of a guitar, bass, and things. It's
not even that so much. It's just the thing that the things we're more interested in looking for interesting sounds, and sometimes we do use guitars in the way that we might sample a guitar chord or something, and then play that into a computer and then mess about with it and try and make it sound more interesting. But when it comes down, and we have actually, Martin's played guitar. He plays guitar quite well, so he has played a couple of times on songs such as Love in Itself, and then on the Construction Time album he played guitar. But we don't use guitar that much. We use a lot of drums, a lot of different drums and stuff.
We're just after a different...
The studio technique is not that much different from a conventional band.
Oh, it is.
Oh, it is very different.
Very different. We never use the, for instance, we use mainly the control room, if people understand. That's the thing where the desk is, the room where the desk is. We only use the other room
for vocals.
Stuff, really. I mean, we put all our instruments in the control room.
We actually work in the control room rather than sort of setting up in the other. Right. And we don't, I mean, the way that we don't work in a conventional way is that, as Andy said, there's no roles. No one's like the drummer, the bass player, the guitarist. We all muck in on everything. We all can, because when you use sort of computers and stuff, you can all get in there and have a go, which makes it a lot more interesting. So there's a lot of ideas being thrown around at one time, But the next album, the next studio album, is going to definitely be a lot harder, I think, a lot darker sounding, and the songs are very good. So who knows,
Shake the Disease was a good one as well.
Good single, yeah.
I think that was one of the best songs Martin's ever
song-wise, yeah.
It's the third time in Germany with DEPECHEmode, isn't it?
Third time. Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Sorry. Alright, and did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it's so far, we've only done one show so far here, which was Berlin last night, and that was very, very good. Before that we were in Scandinavia and Belgium, Holland, All the shows have been sold out and been going very well.
What do you think about the people who came to the concerts?
They were great, actually. In Sweden, we were spoiled, really. The audiences were so very, very warm, and for the first gigs that were in Sweden, because we hadn't played for a while, and when you're a little bit nervous the first couple of gigs, and they were very good and they helped. And Berlin yesterday, it was very, very good. Usually Berlin's very cold and people would just stand, but everyone was joining in and it was good fun.
Yeah. I think one of your members is speaking German. Is it Martin?
Yeah. He speaks, he has in England an A level in German, which enables him really to speak quite fluent German.
I see. And what about your concerts? How many times did your roadies need to build the stage? Do you know that?
How many times did?
How many hours do they need to build the stage?
Oh, I see. Well, the crew bus is here already. That they travelled last night from Berlin. They travel overnight every night. And they sleep on the bus, and they arrive in the morning at around 9, and they set up, and then we come and sound check at 4. So it takes to put the lights up, put the set up. Quite a long while to get it all right, the sound right, and then when we come we do a sound check for about an hour, and then we will go and eat, the support band, the sound check, and then we go back to the hotel to have a shower.
Andrew Fletcher. Andrew, it's the third time you're in Germany. Do you like it?
Oh yeah, I mean we always like Germany. We just come back from Italy and anything's better than that. Pardon? Oh no, we was in Italy about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it was just hell.
Yeah. Right, what about...
Just TVs, it was hell, so...
Yeah. Have you done a TV series here with the TV, like Tele Illustrator or something like that?
We haven't done any televisions in Germany for quite a while. 4 or 5 months ago, it was the last TV we did.
Are you going to go to get one before Hamburg, before the concerts in Hamburg?
I think we got one, but I don't know what it's called. That's in I can't remember. But I think it might be only a small local TV.
What do you think? I think Construction Time Again is really popular in Germany, and it's better sold than in England. Do you think that Indicord is a good label for doing all that things on it? From you?
Well, it seems to be a good label. We get on well with with everyone there. I mean, it's done about the same in England, really, in comparison. Like, for instance, it's gone gold in England. So the only thing is the German album market is much bigger than the English album market. So that's why, although we've sold more records in Germany, in actual comparison, it's probably about the same.
Alan Ryder wrote some things on the album, and he wrote that brilliant B-side of Love in Itself. It's called Fools. You like it?
Oh yeah. The only thing is that when we was compiling the album, that was one of the songs considered, but we didn't really think it fitted in lyrically with the running of the album. So that's why we didn't put it on the album.
Was it just the only reason?
Really, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's basically a love song, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we felt we wanted to have an album with like a certain running concept.
Yeah.
So we didn't think it fitted in lyrically.
What about the other albums? You've done the Broken Frame one just with Dave and Martin, did you? The Broken Frame, the album. You've just done it with Dave and Martin, yeah?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's just no, it's alright. I thought you just said Dave and Martin did it. Yeah, it was
not Dave and Martin.
Just the three of us.
Yeah.
Without Alan, and looking back, we could have done with Alan really, because he's a very, very good musician, and it's great help to us because I think we're only really average musicians, and having a really good musician sort of like brings your standards up.
Do you still like Vince Clarke, which was one of the first members of DEPECHEmode?
What do you mean? Do I still like him? What, as a person or the music?
As a person, and maybe as the music too.
Oh yeah, I really like him as a person. He was my best friend for years and years. So, can't dislike someone. He's never done any harm to me. I still get on well with him now. I'm not so sure about the music. You know, I don't really like the Assembly single. It's very commercial, but I just think it's like too MRR really, for me anyway.
What about, what do you think about the Assembly at all? What do you think about the idea of putting one guest singer on every new single?
Well, it's a good idea, you know. I mean, I think Vince realises he can't really sing. He's got quite a good voice, but he just hasn't got a good lead voice. So, I mean, I don't think he wants to get in a position again, like, you know, just having one singer. I think it gets too much like a band. So, that's probably why he's doing it. It's quite a good idea in theory.
Did Vince try to get back to the DEPECHEmode too?
Oh no, we wouldn't have him.
Never. And he never asked for?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't think, you know, there's no chance, you know, because we wouldn't have him back. Because Alan's too, we're so friendly with Alan, you know, yeah. Alan's rooted now. And we don't need Vince.
Alright. Which the person I'm speaking now to is Mr. Martin Gore. Martin, my first question is: have you done on the first album a few tracks too? Have you done have you written a few tracks with what's his name? He's a Vince, yeah.
Not really. Even in those days we used to write individually, but I did used to collaborate with him, you know, on his ideas. Now he'd come to our rehearsals with the words and the sort of the chords, and maybe sometimes a bass line, sometimes not. And me and Vince used to work together and work out like the riffs and things like that, you know, of the early songs.
What do you think? I think that situation when one of the most important persons at that time is going out of the band, and everybody everybody said to you, "Come on, Martin, now it's your turn to write the songs," or did you say, "Okay, I'm going to try to write songs"?
No, we knew that Vince was going to leave, you know, a good 6 months before he actually did. So, you know, we'd already discussed the situation that was going to arise. And we'd prepared for it. You see, I already had about 4 or 5 songs written, and you know, we didn't really think about it too much because we'd had it planned for so long. We just sort of went ahead and straight into the studio and like recorded a new single and just carried on from there.
My private most best songs are "Shame" and "Shouldn't Have Done That" for me because the lyrics are really brilliant. Have you got any songs you like mostly of one of the albums?
I've got a few favourites, and I like "Shame," and I like "Everything Counts," and I like "See You." I think they're my favourites.
Yeah. And what about nowadays? You've written nearly all songs on the Construction Time Again album, yeah? And have you? What was that feeling? I think Dave told me that you went into was it India? Yeah? You went India or to another place in the world where poor people were living, and he said you were really sad when you saw that. Is that right?
Sort of, yeah. It was like we went on a Far Eastern tour, and we visited places like Thailand, and it was, you know, sort of really it was sort of sad in a way.
Okay, Alan, my first question is, you are the member of DEPECHEmode who came into the band last. Have you got this feeling that the band likes you from the first moment and that you're a whole member? Because at first you were just doing a tour with them, I think.
Well, obviously at first when you join a band it takes a little while to get to know everybody, but by now I've been in the band, 2 years, and we all get on very well now, and I feel as much a member as everybody else, you know.
Okay, another question is, when the things with the limited editions began with that 12 inches of Get the Balance Right, at first they said they are limited at about 7,000 copies. I think now you can buy it in every record shop. How often as you want to? What do you think about it?
Well, I don't know exactly what happens over here in Germany. This is down to Intercord. and it's not really what we would do. In England, they are just a limited edition, and that was the end. But in Germany, I think the record company, they probably want to cash in and make as much money as possible. So it's very difficult for us to keep control over what Intercore do here. But I think in England we will probably re-release all the special 12 inches as a set again, maybe for Christmas, just so that people can buy again if they missed out the first time.
Yeah, I see, but you know how high the limitation was of that 3 maxi versions? How high limited they were?
I don't know exactly.